Sometimes when you go on holiday, you really do find those places which live up to your expectations. Juba is certainly one of those. Although I've never been there, I feel as if I know it, purely from the filming of the Joubers and their film called Relentless Enemies, which was sited here at Juba. If anything, it's the way in which the lions here have learned to adapt to this terrain and use it to their advantage that singles out what makes them different from lions everywhere else. It wasn't long on our first game drive before we came across this very handsome young male. His name is Junior, and he's a member of the Saro Pride, one of the two that live here on the plains. He's somewhat unique because, for reasons which no one can wholly explain, there's been a period of infanticide in the Pride, and he's one of only 2 cubs that have recently made it to adulthood. Having been isolated from the Pride, he has little choice left but to scavenge for what he can get. Next morning we too are taking to the swamps, and we're going to head north, towards where we think the large herds of buffalo might be located. It's also the home of the second pride of lions, called the Skimmers. On the afternoon game drive, it didn't take us very long to find our 2 lions again that we'd been watching in the morning, but this time the circumstances were clearly going to lead in one direction only. The drive home back to the lodge was as exciting as always, with Carlton having to bail out the water, but also because we came across this lioness, who was doing just what we hoped she would, call in the pride. We knew the Saro pride had been pretty widely dispersed, but if her calls had had any effect, then it augured well for our chances of seeing a hunt today. At this stage we still didn't know whether the lions had come together, but then suddenly the first one appears. She's soon joined by a second, and almost as soon as she's gone out of sight, here comes the third. By now 2 more lionesses have joined the main group, and as they all slowly move forward, we follow suit. All the indications were that they were going to hunt, and they were obviously waiting carefully to see whether any of the buffalo would separate from the main group, providing an easier target. And that's just what happened. 2 bulls had become detached from the main group, and these became the focus of attention for the lionesses. This cat is known as Silver Eye. How she lost the sight in her right eye no one really knows, but it hasn't deterred her from becoming one of the leaders of the group, and she's often to be found out ahead leading the hunt. Apart from the male and female, there are now 5 lionesses gathered, so a pride of 7 is certainly capable of taking down a buffalo. But in fact the two bulls we saw earlier have moved away, so for the moment the cats are relaxing. It's when the cats get up close like this that you really begin to see just how big they are. Their legs are enormous because obviously they're coping with living in a watery terrain. In fact, they don't just live in it, they thrive on it. They use it to their advantage and often will drive the buffalo into the water because it slows them down and makes them an easier target. The lions are getting themselves into a position where they can decide which of the targets they want to go for. Their other challenge, though, is that they're getting near the extremities of their territory. They've got to be careful not to spook the buffalo so much that they cross the next river into the territory of the skimmers. Just watching the behaviour of the lions, though, it's clear that they're making choices. Whilst they've got buffalo in front of them, they've also got a small group of red lechwe to the left, and down in the long grass there are 3 warthogs. To get to any of their targets, they've got to cross the open plain and a river, and the possibilities of doing that without being seen are not great. The water's also a barrier for us. By the time we've got ourselves into position the other side of it, one of the lionesses has made the decision to go. For the moment the calf is still alive, and desperate as she is to save it, the mother needs to be careful because with the pride arriving in numbers, she might find herself the next target if she's not very careful. The lionesses are very conscious they need to eat quickly, because they've seen on the horizon the male is arriving, and if he comes and takes over, they will get nothing. With his outstretched paw, demonstrating his domination, he's taken over complete control of the carcass. So for the other lionesses, they've got two choices. Either they go hungry, or they need to return to the hunt. Clearly the lionesses have made their decision. Without almost the batting of an eyelid, they're back on the hunt again. The lions continued to keep a very close eye on the buffalo, but with the light failing it was obvious that nothing further was going to happen that night, and so we began to make our plans for returning to the lodge. Next morning, though, there was one last opportunity to see whether anything has happened overnight. Before we got very far at all, we've come across two more lions. These are not the same two that we've seen mating for the last couple of days. In fact, these are from the skimmer pride. But they're running high risk being in Saro territory. But for the moment, they're not bothered by that too much. If I have one wish to take away from here, I just hope that the liaisons on Juba result in cubs, which survive and reach adulthood, not least because the future of the prides and the special character of this place depends on it.